supporter of Operation Yes. The only problem is he lost his voice yesterday and wrote me a very sad email saying that he won't be able to make it today. So unfortunately he won't be here, but somebody did step up to the plate at the last minute to fill his spot. Do you want to stand up so you don't look so small? But the thing is, he's my younger brother, Darshana Prakasam. He's going into 8th grade at Churchill. He's in the International Baccalaureate program there. But one of his area of interest is memory, something that's relevant to all of us, not just students, but parents kind of remembering things and studying for tests. But he's put a lot of effort and a lot of research into it, and he's prepared a presentation. And I'm his sister, so normally I like to find any fault that I can with him, but I can't find any fault with his work on memory because he is truly dedicated to learning more about it and really helping people understand how important memory is in their lives. So I will hand it over to Darshana Prakasam, and I hope you enjoy his presentation.
So can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yep.
So my name is Darshana Prakasam, and I will be presenting to you about memory. For nowadays in your guys' lives, memory is really important as you're all taking your SATs, ACTs, and just even your school tests. So what is memory? Memory is an organism's ability to store, retain, and recall information. And a big myth about memory is that it's a certain thing, but that's not true as there are many parts of memory, and it's actually a process, not a thing. So where does memory happen? So, where does memory happen? Imagine your brain as a set of computer parts. The biggest part of memory is the hippocampus, which is basically the brain of the computer. The hippocampus deals with processing information. And then another part of memory is the amygdala, which which deals with emotions and imprinting emotional memories. And so basically it's episodic memories. So can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is that better? Yeah. And another part is the cerebral cortex, which deals with long-term memory. And so your memories will go to different places based on what type of memory they are. So that's what the cerebral cortex deals with. And then probably the smallest part of memory is the neurons, which basically make up the brain's network, and they send information throughout your body. So you must be really bored as you haven't seen any pictures. So the bottom one is the hippocampus, which is the biggest because it's the main part of memory. And then to the left is the amygdala, and then to the right is the cerebral cortex. So why are you even listening to me? Well, memory has a lot of benefits, and it can help everybody, people who are older and people who are younger. And it takes a lot of practice to make your memory something really good. And it's not associated with how smart you are. It depends on how much initiative you take, how much effort you put into it. So there are two types of memory, and we're going to have a battle today. Long-term memory versus short-term memory. So long-term memory doesn't really have any negatives, while short-term memory is easily disturbed or forgotten. And the positives of long-term memory are that it keeps facts, procedures, and episodes in mind. And short-term memory keeps the image of our world around us in sync, our goals in mind, and forgets information that we don't really need to remember. So can I have a drum roll, please? The winner is neither. Both of them have their advantages. Long-term memory is usually what people refer to, but short-term memory is equally helpful. So I'm going to debunk a myth today. Remembering too much clutters your mind. This is completely not true. Because your brain is like a file cabinet. You must put things in the right places. Filing things make things accessible and available. So when you need to remember that one word on your test, you won't forget it. Slapping in the cabinet will make it available but not accessible. So there are 3 R's to remembering: recording, retaining, and retrieving. Recording is basically getting the information. Retaining is storing the information. So there are different ways to store it properly by applying it to other information that you've already learned or things that you've seen. And then retrieving is when you need the information. And just in case you don't like R, there are the 3 F's to remembering: fixating, which is recording; filing, which is retaining; and finding, which is retrieving. So, I'm going to tell you different ways of memorization. You'll need another ticket for this. I'm just kidding. The most common way of memorization is called rote learning, which is basically through repetition. So let's say you need to remember the date of Yes2college. You say, Yes2college, June 4th. Yes2college, June 4th. Yes2college, June 4th. Another type of memorization is chunking, which you store information in chunks, and it goes into your short-term memory. It's useful in last-minute studying or briefing before you start the chapter. I don't really recommend this because you don't really understand the topic really that well, and you won't be able to use it later in life. So I have my tips for studying and memorization, so this can really help you. So my first tip is to focus your attention. Focus your attention on what you're studying. Turn off your cell phone. Turn off your Facebook, because multitasking has been linked to worse brain development. So focus your attention on the materials you're looking at now. Tip 2, avoid cramming by setting up regular study sessions. So even before you know there's a test, you should start studying. And I know you might have a test on Friday, and then at 11 o'clock the night before, you'll try to study. But this really does not work. You may get an A on the test, but later, maybe in college, you won't remember the information when you need it the most. Tip 3, structure and organize. So the materials that you're looking at, when you're making notes, put information that is similar in different sections so you can really understand it better. Tip 4, pay extra attention to difficult information. Let's say you're taking biology and you really don't get the ecological part of it. So you should focus more on that instead of something that you're good at, like cellular biology. Tip 5, utilize mnemonic devices. This can help you a lot. It's much easier to remember things. So if you don't know what a mnemonic device is, here it is. So basically mnemonics is using one word for another word. So like, my very excellent mother just served us 9 pizzas, which is for the planets. For the 9 planets, but obviously Pluto's not a planet anymore, which is totally messed up. And then another one that I know is for taxonomy, which is basically the classification of species. So King Philip came over from Great Spain. Tip 6, try to understand the topic. Don't blindly memorize it. If you really want to know the information, if you really want to do well in your life, you should understand the topic and let it work for you. So you can do this by applying it to things that you've already learned, things that you've already seen, making connections. And then tip 7, which is my last tip, and probably the most important tip, if you can't do this, you probably don't know the information well enough. So teach the new concepts to another person, be it your sibling, your friend, your teacher, or your parent. This can help a lot. So I have tips just for a better memory in general. Sleep. This has been linked in so many research that sleep can help brain development. And then constant